We've created this podcast because we want to know the people behind the work. We invite you to join us at the table and listen to their stories. All right, Hunter, we're back.
Yeah.
You notice anything different about today?
A little bit. Maybe the fact that we're on camera.
We're on camera. I've been getting a lot of letters about someone wanting to look at you and see your beautiful face. So I just thought we would make that possible. But it's a special day because we're on camera. So we're going to figure this out. And we don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to give it a try. But it's also special because we have special guests with us. Every guest is special, but this is really fun. So these are good friends of ours, neighbors even of mine. We've known each other for 20 years. You guys believe it's been 20 years? Mm-hmm. It's been 20 years? All right, so Scott and Beth Gurley are here today, and we're going to learn a little bit about them. But they've been on an adventure lately, right? They've been on an adventure starting a brand new business, and we say business is personal. Well, it's really personal when you start a business with your family. Very personal. So I would love, we know a little bit about you, but tell everybody who's listening kind of who you guys are. Maybe even go back to when it became Scott and Beth Gurley. Like way back, meeting. Who wants to talk? Beth, you want to talk about that?
Way back.
It's not that far back.
No. Well, we did just have our 25th wedding anniversary. So we have been married 25 years. Both Scott and I are physician assistants. We met in undergrad, went to PA school at different times, then got married and moved to Winston-Salem and started work and family and life. And fast forward 25 years and we're starting something else, or started something else.
And it's important to know you're, like me, a Yankee.
That's
right?
true.
From the north.
Yes.
And Scott is not.
Correct.
Might be a little catch that in his accent, perhaps, depending on how southern he gets. But anything you want to add to the story of you guys together, Scott?
Well, we met at Campbell University, and Beth left out a key piece of that. We do have 6 girls that we have gathered along the way, and it's been great. Me becoming a girl dad, I have enjoyed that, and always thought that I would have boys. Interestingly, our first ultrasound, the doctor reading the ultrasound told us that our firstborn, Sydney, would be a boy. And then the doctor on call showed us this baby and just quickly was very concerned about the health of the baby. And Beth said, "Here's your baby girl." And from there, it's been all girls and all joy and all fun. And a very steep learning curve for me.
Absolutely a steep curve.
Yeah.
Well, we may get down that path for sure. So you guys get married. You guys been living here in the medical field, and then recently, Clemens Dermatology has been born. That's the most recent birth, right? No more girls at this point. This is the new girl. This is the new mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear about, and I think I know some of the story, but I mean, it'd be good. Where did this idea come from? Why do this? Why, at this point of your life, at this point of season of your life, why start something new? What was going on, Beth?
Yeah. So Scott and I have had very different careers. I originally came out of school going into dermatology, have worked in it for 25 years. He's done a variety of different things. We've gone on lots of different mission trips over the years, love working together. Kind of always has been a dream of mine to work with him. But I would never do primary care ever. And so yes, that was always a dream that he'd maybe come over to the dark side of dermatology and work. We could work together. But honestly, a lot, just like probably how most businesses form, it's out of necessity, right? Like either you lose a job and you have to create a new one or find a new job, or you have 6 girls that are entering college and on the brink of marriage and you need more money. Or, there's a lot of different things that kind of push us into different directions. And if we hadn't probably felt some of these honestly, I probably wouldn't have changed where I currently am or was. The physician I work with, I've worked with right out of school. I love him dearly, have high respect for him. He's taught me so much of what I know in medicine. So I don't know if I maybe would have just retired there if I didn't, have to do something different. So I think for us, what precipitated us dreaming about something different was need, really. Just changes in our families that we had to do something different to support them, basically.
Yeah, and there was also need, from what I understood, just need in the world, in the area, right?
Yeah,
for this.
yeah,
So
for
it's not
sure.
like, hey, I know how to do this. Let's go try to do this.
Yeah.
There was need also. So talk about that.
Yeah.
I was shocked hearing that. Actually.
Yes. So so I basically was forced with either I just completely find a different job, which was definitely an option, or we get creative and continue working where I had been working, but do kind of like a part-time gig. And so as we started to dream about that, I was like, oh, well, let's kind of do a little bit of research in the area of Clemens where we live. And so there's no dermatology office in the city or township of Clemens. It's the fastest growing suburb of Winston-Salem. And I just started to call around to different practices and see what their wait times were, because I was experiencing from my personal patients, oh my gosh, Beth, it's taking so long to get in. I can't get in for 6 weeks. I can't get in for 8 weeks. Can't get in for 3 months. And so a new patient appointment, when I started doing a little bit of research, ranged from like 6 weeks to 12 months for an appointment, which is just, that's just not realistic, right? Like you have a spot that you're concerned about, that could be a skin cancer. You can't wait a year.
Mm-hmm.
You could be dead, like for real.
Right.
So then we were like, oh, maybe there's a need. Maybe there's a need. And like I had mentioned, or maybe Scott mentioned, or you mentioned, we had been in the community of Clemens for about 5 years. We lived in Ardmore, the center of Winston, for 18 years. But now Clemens were our people. Our kids have all gone through West Forsyth High School. Our church community, a lot of them are there. And, we just felt like these were the people that we wanted to be with and serve and care for. So that was just a little piece of how and why.
Yeah, and what was your thoughts along the way as you're making these decisions, Scott? How did you play into that?
Yeah. So that was a great piece. I'm glad Beth mentioned about moving, out from Winston. We were right by the hospital, lived there for 17 years. And then we built a house in Clemens. And that was a big ordeal that I was not equipped for or excited about, and probably would never do again. And so that kind of tells you about my adventuresome nature. But, as we were out in Clemens, I really, I'm the announcer for the lacrosse games. And so you just get out and you're a part of the community and you're meeting people and you're there. And we've had, 3 kids go through the lacrosse program for 4 years and play. And so you're meeting people and you're spending time with them. And so you just become part of a community there, and you just become more invested. And I think that was a natural shift, even though, I still work at Wake Forest and I'm in Winston-Salem proper, but you have friends, you have church, you have family, and then you have this outer community more associated with the high school to some degree. And so you're just always looking and trying to be creative about how can you be more of a part of this community.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't think of a better way to be part than be the announcer for the lacrosse team. I've been privileged to your announcing before. And
plug there.
You need to go.
Come on
if
out.
You have not seen
and have fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible thing to see. Hunter, I think you would enjoy it thoroughly. Although I'm sure you can imagine Scott as he completely comes almost unhinged, and I love it. I love it
For real. Different side of him,
yes,
for sure,
yes.
that comes out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about dermatology, mainly because I know it's about skin and all that, but it really impacts people in deep ways because it's about the really in many ways the way they look and the way they feel about themselves. It has so much more. It's very. Is that what you see? You must see this all the time.
Yeah, I just, we could talk hours, story upon story upon story.
Tell us some.
Last Thursday evening, we do an evening clinic, and this kid came in, developed this condition called psoriasis during COVID. He was brought home from school. He was in high school. He developed this skin condition that can be quite cosmetically disfiguring and embarrassing, and just got into this cycle of depression, and it really bad. And so he comes in on Thursday. He had 3 canceled appointments. I walked in, I looked at him, and I just said, I am so glad to see you today. I just gave him a hug. I'm so glad you showed up today. And we ended up giving him this medicine that he really needed. And I texted his mom a couple days ago, and I said, hey, I just was following up, see how he's doing. And this is a kid who is depressed, didn't go back to high school, doesn't have a license. Literally is almost homebound. And she said, you know what? She said, he was outside playing basketball today. And I said, yeah. And then she said, then he went to the Y. And it would have never happened if, and I said, well, how's his skin? And she said, it's doing so much better. And so those are the things that you're like, this is what matters.
Yeah, you gave him confidence.
Well, hope, right?
Hope. Yeah.
That would be, I would say, what part of our mission statement would be, is that we are hopefully ambassadors of hope, because a lot of people walk through and it's gone. They don't have any. So it's really a privilege, a space to be able to provide that. And sometimes we don't, too.
Yeah.
We're not able to give
do everything.
We can't heal, but we do know of a greater hope that we can instill, even if we can't physically do too much.
Well, the smile on your face and the hug from you is a pretty big hope-inducing thing.
Yeah.
When you just you're a human. I see you, and I'm so glad to see you.
Yeah.
Scott, what about you? I know you've been working in the clinic with Beth, which I think is fun. We're going to come back and talk more about working together and stuff. But what kind of stories from you, as you see? Because I think one of the days you're in there, you're solo, right, in there?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Anything come to mind
Every
for
Monday.
you?
Well, I think largely in credit to Beth, she has placed on our website that beauty is more than skin deep, and in our bathroom. People often go to our bathroom and for whatever reason, but she has painted a mural in there in cursive, and it says, "You're fearfully and wonderfully made." And so I think that's what we're trying to do. One of the most challenging things we deal with in dermatology and is hair loss. And looking at me today on camera, I've adapted pretty well to having hair loss, but for a young woman who has hair loss, it's devastating.
Oh, yeah.
It's devastating. So I think just, while we're working through that medically, which is extremely complex, it's important to try to acknowledge the worth of a person and their beauty beyond the characteristics that are displayed outwardly. And so even if you can comment on, how pretty their hair is that's existing, or their skin, or their smile, or those types of things to bring encouragement, those are the things that we want to do. And then I think it is joyous. I am working on the learning curve of mastering the art of sewing or suturing That was not something that I practiced a lot of in primary care. So I'm coming home and practicing stitching a lot at night.
Is that like on chicken? Is that when people use chicken?
But they
or
have
something like
they
that?
have a more of a synthetic model that feels like skin, but it's not. So we don't have to pull out the pork feet or the chicken anymore, which is good because that will kind of smell up the room in a few days. But it is very satisfying to watch my wife. That's her craft is the call of stitching and making people appear right and normal after you remove a pretty, you can cut out a golf ball or baseball size defect of skin cancer and bringing that together and making it look beautiful again.
That's like almost like plastic surgery kind of.
A little
work.
bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is the art of plastic surgery where you can hide the stitching or the suturing underneath the skin so it's not visible
Right.
and very little scar.
Yeah, I know Beth has sutured a couple of my children, and it looks pretty good. So she's got the art. Keep learning from her. You got to learn from the master.
That's right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about how this started as far as the starting of a business, because this is, I mean, this is like, yes, you're running a business, and again, this is about you as business owners and as humans, but it still took a whole lot. I mean, what's that journey been like? I know there's some stories there, but what's that journey been like of just getting this thing started? Because you have this like idea, this dream, this thing you're going to do. Okay, we figured out what we want to do now. That is a hard decision.
Yeah.
And then you
Well,
gotta
and
make
it seems like
happen.
you've worked in a place where you didn't have to worry with any of that
Oh,
stuff.
I did nothing.
You just were like,
I just got to see patients.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like blissfully ignorant of everything else that went into the actual like process of getting paid, and seeing patients is the easy part. Yeah, everything else was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
And you started from the beginning. I mean, you had to find a place. You had to do it. I mean, from the beginning.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Like stressful.
Just try. Okay.
Yeah, I don't like when I think about it, I don't know how we survived really, but yeah, it was just a lot. When people ask me, I think I just use that word. It is a lot. Like and Scott has many giftings and great skill set, but that piece is not a part of his skill set. And so I did feel like early on a lot of that fell on me, which I'm not super awesome at that either. So it wasn't.
And by that, you mean the organizing and all the things you got to do? You mean just the
Yeah,
detail
or
part?
even just like, I don't know. I don't think I would necessarily say I enjoy like registering with the Secretary of State or getting my tax
Well, that
ID
list
number.
of people who do is very small, by the way.
Yeah.
So very, very small.
Maybe. You're probably right. But I feel like my learning curve was so steep, down to like even our, medical board license and knowing what the laws are for what we as physician assistants are able to do within the state. And so just a lot that went into it. So I just feel like I prayed a lot and asked God to not let it happen a lot. And it just didn't happen. And so I just kept moving forward slowly. As one thing got done and the next thing needed to happen, I'd say, okay, well, if this is going to work out, and if we're going to get this loan, or if we're going to get this approval, or if our supervising physician is cool with our plan, then we're just going to keep moving forward.
Just a step at a time.
Yeah. So I don't ever feel like, and maybe that's part of just my ignorance, but it just kind of was a slow process moving forward because I didn't have like this great plan that was sketched out with boxes that were being checked. And I mean, I did have a notebook that I was constantly, doing things, to-do lists for the week. But so I feel like there was a lot of grace in that. I think people came into our life to help us figure out what was next, whether that was real estate agents or, as I'm experiencing all this for the first time. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought some of it, what was neat to watch was really for you had family helping, laying the floor.
Yeah,
I mean, this was
that's
a
right.
full on everybody
Yeah,
involved,
yeah.
all resources. It wasn't you just hired a
Yeah.
some sort of contractor and then
Yeah.
you were off and running.
Yeah, we had the 7-year-old like dry vacuuming, like we put everyone to work. My dad did a ton. He did a lot of the design of all of the innards of the clinic. And so it was, definitely a family group effort for sure.
Yeah, and the space is beautiful. What I love is like the idea of beauty, even just this. It's not. I don't feel walking in there. It's a sterile.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a sterile environment.
Yeah,
when it
which
comes
was
to
the
medically
vision.
safety, but it's a beautiful place, and to have it be a place where people want to come and be,
Yeah.
not just get something done and move out, but it's actually a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Do you actually have like purposeful values that you guys, want, everybody who works there and to understand?
Yeah, we do. Because of Josh, have core values.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
Sounded
For
like you're
sure.
blaming me. That
No,
was weird.
But that also goes kind of into like we had lots of people helping us,
Right.
him saying you really need to think about what your core value, and that was like one of the first things that I did even before we had all of these, regulations and all the stuff that we had to get done. But it was thinking about, okay, what do we want this business to look like? And so that was actually the first thing that we started doing was writing a mission statement.
Wow,
and
that's
then
like
after
the
that,
foundation.
yeah, and then after that we went through and what are the core values of this company, and what do we want our employees to hold fast to? And so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one is I'm always humbled by this, but it's the concept of we're all in and we're all a part of the same thing, and there's nothing beneath any of us. And so one of the things that Beth kind of wrote as a descriptor of that is that we all can clean the toilet and we all can take out the trash.
Plunge the toilet, yeah.
And
All of us. Yeah.
So I was doing some of that this week, and I was cleaning the medical instruments that we were using, and I was cleaning the rooms and taking out the trash and disposing of some of the used equipment and making it sterile again. And so it's just the idea that when there's just three of us, you have to do it all. And, that's part of greeting people and making them feel welcome, but it's also taking stuff to the dumpster too.
Well, and I think it's not just the utility of that too. It's not like just because you only have a few people, but that's a value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's a value.
Yeah.
That's not going to stop as you grow. I'm
Yeah.
convinced of that. I know y'all well enough to know that. That like us not, one of my clients has, we don't walk past an issue is one. Like we don't just go, well, that's somebody else's problem. That's one of their core values. Same kind of thing, put in a different way, right? But the idea that that's a value means it's not, well, one day I can grow out of having to do that. That's what we all do. That's the kind of people you want to be around, and you won't hire the people.
Right.
And we will fire them when you find out they're not those people who say, well, that's not my job. Right. And so that's creating a culture, and you're being clear from the beginning, which is so cool, guys. Like, you know who you're looking for. That's the power of having that. So, and it's exhibited by you. It comes from the founders. It comes from the people who build this. That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, we were just talking on the way over here. We had, a patient that was unsatisfied with her bill and care. And so, you have to call and try to make that right. And it's not always pleasant, the interaction that goes, and there's sometimes misunderstanding, but you call and you have those hard conversations, and you do the best that you can. And then you try to reach a decision. And then, the conversation was, should we call and follow up? And I said, yeah, we need to make it plain and clear what the next step is, the decision. And I said, well, I've had plenty of people in my life not do that for me. And so I think that's the right thing for us to do. And so it's just, again, just trying to make those values up front and clear, and try to let those guide us in the beginning so that, they become part of our culture.
What, so you guys are juggling. I mean, this isn't your only work, right? This is a new thing. This is the beginnings of something. So how has that been in life for you as you've tried to figure that out of working and creating this thing?
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay, talk about it a little bit, because I mean, again, it's like
really hard.
It's the reality of people do hard things, and it's good to talk about what that does with us. And so I was just curious as we talk, what's that been like to try to figure out to do this thing where there's a lot of need, you can keep on going, but then you also have these other things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think I think our other jobs have been fine. But I always think about our family, and our kids have been very gracious and understanding. And me being selfish, I don't want that to run out or push that to the limits. But always worry that we're not having enough time that was available for other things, recreational activities, time with them. Sometimes we're having to spend doing things for the business, and so it's a tension, and trying to have conversations with them and have them share their feelings and thoughts, and hopefully they don't become bitter, and trying to squelch that if it comes up, and hear from them.
Well, and I think as a woman, I've had the privilege of being home with my kids a lot, our older 5. So they really kind of associate me as just a mom and not as a practitioner or not at work all the time. And so with little Lottie, she's just 8. And so when we started this, she was, not even 7. And so I think, I struggle with a lot of guilt, because she has a very different childhood than our older kids, because I'm now a full-time working mom. She's in school full-time, whereas my others were homeschooled. And I just had a really wise friend just say, Beth, there is enough grace. Like, God is going to meet that kid and going to take care of her, especially when this is what God is calling you to. And it's so true. I mean, we do have these older kids. Our oldest daughter is almost 22, and she's like a second mom to this kid, and the other ones too, and friends, and my mom is readily available and very involved. And so it really is beautiful to see how our community has enabled this to happen. But it has been a big adjustment on our family, and for me too, because I've never worked full time and been a full time mom, and so Scott will probably laugh at me, but man, I come home like I'm so tired, like I'm just so excited to go to bed, and it's only 9:00, So it's taken time for sure to get adjusted to kind of juggling both, but it has been hard, and it's increased my compassion for working women and moms. I mean, like through the roof. In fact, I called a friend who is a full-time single mom, and I asked for her forgiveness. I said, I'm sure I just have not been considerate and not understanding, and I'm just so sorry if I've not been a very good friend, because this is really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. So
yeah, it's amazing. You get in the shoes of someone else, and all of a sudden you have an epiphany, a moment of realizing what really is going on. Because not everybody doesn't get to choose to make that shift.
Yeah.
It's done for them, and they have to figure it out, and it's hard. And all of a sudden you have a little bit of an understanding.
Yeah. Until this day, that friend, she'll text me on a Thursday. That's like I'm like in clinic from 8 to 7 at night, and she'll be like, "You're almost there. You're halfway there." And she's my biggest encourager, which is really sweet. So.
Well, I was going to ask a question, and it comes from a guy that I met who had actually started a business when he was just right out of his graduate school. It was actually a seminary, and he started this counseling business and online, kind of thing, and it's been very successful. And I said, "What did you do?" And he just said, "Well, actually, my dad, was an entrepreneur, and he just started businesses, and he just said, I didn't think there was anything else to do, but you get out of school and you just start, you just build something, make something. But I'm curious, your kids are watching you do something that is risky and difficult, and it is, it almost makes them sacrifice a little bit for this purpose, the family's greater good, those kinds of things. This might pay for your weddings one day, girls, or whatever it might be. And I wonder if you have any observations on what it does to them, because it's got to be powerful to watch you guys risk and do something different.
Well, in fact, you made that observation a couple weeks ago, and we were talking, and you said something to the effect that I hope our kids are observing and are willing to take the risk someday to maybe do something like this as well. And I would definitely say that they are very invested. The older ones, not the younger ones, but the older ones. Our oldest right now is in Africa, and she will look up our schedule, and she will see how many patients we have. And she will text us, and she'll say, I'm so excited. You have 15 patients today. Tell me about it. Or, or she'll just say, tell me, I saw this person was coming in for X. Tell me about it. What how did that end up going? And so she's super, super invested. Obviously, she's older and has an interest in medicine, so maybe a little bit more. But even some of our other kids have surprised us with, texting us or calling us from college. How's it going? I've been thinking about how's the business going? And so that has been really exciting.
Well, it feels like in some ways it's almost like you're raising the bar to saying, because it's so obvious what you care the most about in this. It's not the money and the whatever might be nice or helpful or that sort of thing, but the thing that really drives you is the people and the experiences and people, just the story about the young person kind of getting out of the house. Wow.
Huge.
That's like, bringing, so much beauty to a situation where there's just not a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to let people watch that. And it's almost subliminal. They just see what you love and what you talk about and what are the things that are important. And people, these kids just absorb that.
Yeah.
So I just think that is great fun to watch.
There is this fine line sometimes, the younger ones, can we please not talk about what's going on? We don't want to hear anymore.
Skin diseases.
Yeah, exactly. Can we not talk about this at dinner? So that has been.
Let me tell you about this tumor I pulled out.
Yeah, exactly. This big cyst that we
Flopped on the-
spurted all over.
That's a
our
medical
place.
family. Scott used to use the whiteboard and draw things out. I'd be like, "You what? Your kids knew the anatomy way before many people did." I was thinking too, though, you see the beauty, and then they get to also see you in the struggle too, right?
Yeah.
So coming home again tired, but then also coming home frustrated. How you deal with that leaves a mark, and you're gonna try hard things because mom and dad tried hard things, or I'm staying away from that forever because, so our responses for that, there's that burden too of coming back. So, they're watching that too.
Yeah, and trusting that, that we're going to be provided for, right? So when you open a business, you lose a lot of money, right? You don't make a lot of money. And my oldest said, Mom, you don't have to pay me. And I said, what do you mean? I'm going to pay you. She's like, no, you don't need to pay me. me? And I said, I'm going to 100% pay you because I value you. I value your work and what you're doing in our clinic. And I love you. This is an expression of my love and appreciation. Kat, who works with us, again, not making any money, she said, Beth, if you need to not pay me, it's okay. I said, no, that's not okay. I said, no, we're gonna trust that the provision will be there when your payroll runs around. And so, yes, they're seeing that. They're seeing this us, Scott and I, work this out daily. So I do believe it's impacting them.
Well, and it's such a beautiful thing you guys are offering, because I don't think that's a cultural norm. It's do the safe thing. It's do the sure thing. Go to the school to get to the place you're going to for sure be. It's this linear approach to everything, and risk taking. So I love working with entrepreneurs all the time. I just love it because it's a totally different mindset and world where it's like, well, obviously we're gonna risk that.
Yeah.
And there's calculated risk, there's crazy risk and all that, but the families around them, it is interesting. It does run in the family. So like, if you run into an entrepreneur, more than likely you'll hear a story. They either are around one, or it's like, well, we've always been entrepreneurs. My dad did this, or my mom did this, and so like risk taking becomes less mythical and this big chance, but more that's what you do for reward. It's a good thing, and it's gonna be hard. They're also not surprised when it's hard either.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where we break the mold, because my dad worked in the same job for 30 years. My mom did for 25. Scott's dad worked, I don't know how long he worked, 50 years.
Yeah.
Mom, same. So like, this was really scary for us, because this is like not what we learned.
Yeah. Even more so the impact. That's what I'm saying. So when there's a generational change, again, this isn't good versus bad, but it's just very interesting to say, wow, my parents did this thing. And I can see it and view it, and all of it's good and it's bad. If all you did was show the good side of that, that's my point. If all you did was the good side of that, they think, okay, business is easy. Or if all you did was complain about it, they want to just find the easiest way to not have to deal with any conflict whatsoever.
Right.
And you got to have to do all of it. And you have to do it as a couple.
Yeah. That's where I think we really complemented each other. The things that would
Is that
really,
past tense? You used to compliment?
I mean, probably still do, but in starting this, the things that would really freak me out, he's like, whatever, we'll just sell our house. I'm like, we just built a house, and for, and vice versa, the medical aspect, I'm like, that's like the least of our worries. Like, we got that piece, and that would make him more anxious, or, so I'm really grateful. Money freaks me out, and he's like, it's no big deal. Like, it'll be fine. It's just stuff. It's just material stuff, and we can get rid of it and pay off debt. And I'm like, oh, no, we can't. We're gonna be living out on the street, and so anyway, yeah.
You and the kids in cardboard boxes under a bridge,
eating cat food. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
that's me.
Boy.
Yep. So he's a great reminder. And that kind of, once I really just had to come, I don't know if you were ever going to ask this question, but what was like the tipping point to say, yes, let's do this. Let's all in, let's go for it. And for me, I think Scott, he's so great. He would have done it or not done it. He would have supported, I think, this dream vision of mine. But I just think I had to get to the point and believe that if it succeeded, the Lord is going to be great and good in it. And if it failed, he's going to be great and good to you. And we're going to be provided for either way. And I think once I fully believed that in my heart, then I was freed to take the risk, right? Free to take it. And that was kind of like, okay, let's sign this lease.
Well,
let's do this.
How did you get there? Because I'm sure that wasn't a switch, right? So are
no,
there
it
things?
was a process.
Yeah. So are there things? Are there people? Are there particular? I mean, as you think back, what were some of the things that finally got you to be like, okay?
Yeah.
You know, I can walk forward believing that, because you believe that intellectually. You've always believed
Oh,
that.
yeah,
But it's like
100%.
moving from your head to your heart to ultimate
Yeah.
actions.
Yeah.
Totally different things.
Totally different.
So what were some of the things that led to
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think Scott, for one, is just a constant reminder to me of what is true. And then just community, people in our lives, also just reiterating the same thing, that it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what happens, good or bad, you'll be provided for, you'll be cared for. And then, really like God's word. I don't know how else to say it, but one of my favorite verses that has just carried me through this whole season is Exodus 14:14. And it says, basically, the Lord will fight for you. You need to be still. And that's not passive. Being still is not passive. Obviously, this year and a half, we've done so much work.
Yeah.
But that overarching, that there is someone that is greater and more powerful that is fighting for me and is my advocate. And I can rest. I can rest in that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, could you, you said something earlier about the physician that oversees the practice. And I'm thinking he lost, you and how did he, but he also, I think I heard you say he trained you, or at least he has mentored you over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was his influence in all of that?
So that was a big piece, right, of asking, the Lord to either continue this or to stop it. And that was a huge piece. If we didn't have his approval, then I kind of was like gonna shut down shop, really.
Wow.
But when I approached him to ask if this is something he would consider, it was like, sure, of course. Of course. Not a ton of interest. He's in the kind of the later portion of his career, maybe 5, max 10 years left, but probably closer to 5. I think that because he loves me and our family, he was just willing to do that.
Wow.
So just another affirmation.
I wasn't expecting that to be one of the things that he loves you and his and your family.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He does. Incredible.
Okay.
So he has been supportive, but also kind of just hands off at the same time, and has just kind of let us roll with it. But also a great.
What do you think you learned from him?
Oh my goodness. He's brilliant medically. Brilliant. Even to this day, when Scott and I have any questions, I'll shoot him a picture or a text and pick his brain. And he really is one of the most brilliant men I know. So medically speaking, I've learned a lot from him. Yeah. So that wasn't the answer you're expecting, huh?
I don't know.
You know.
I'm just interested in his impact on what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Usually mentors of a sort are behind people's courage, and there's encouragement from people. Josh and I have talked to people who literally hear the words, "You can do this," and when doubt begins to push back.
Yeah, that was what made a person purchase a business.
Yeah.
The
owner.
the other owner said,
owner
"You
said
can do
that.
this."
Yeah.
You can do this.
And yeah. Just those words. It's
Yeah.
similar to the hug of the young person that came in the office and so good to see you. It was like that was enough to move, and it sounds like that's what was going on with you too. Not only from him, is like sure,
Yeah,
of course you could do that.
the norm is adversarial.
Yeah.
You're leaving,
Yeah.
you're taking away income, you are, it feels like betrayal. What, am I not good enough, or something like that? But for someone to have the sense of, like, no, let me help you launch and you'll be fantastic. And that's just, that's not the norm, just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say both Scott and I felt pretty convicted about, we just kind of kept it kind of private in our jobs. Hadn't let any of our patients know that this was going on. And so people found us great, but never any intention to try to steal, patients from our current practice or anything like that. So.
Yeah, Beth still works for him on Mondays to this day.
Yeah. And you still do
Have
your
a
work.
good work.
Yeah. And again, it's so great when you have people who, the rising tide raises all ships. It's when you really have that idea where like it's abundance, not scarcity. And you really think about that. Everybody benefits instead of just the one. It never works that way. So it's complicated. And I want to go back for a second, Scott, because I'm curious to hear your perspective of Beth's transition to like, yes, I'm in. What was it like? What did you see in her? What was it like to watch her come to that place? I know you were an encourager and cheerleader, but just as you think back, what did you see in your wife as she was making this bold leap?
I think it was a combination of faith, and then I do think it was, some momentum, and it's just like the fleece. You put the fleece out there, and you see what happens. So. Momentum is, you got to keep the car rolling and it doesn't break. And both those things have to continue. And so, you sit down, you write vision statements, you lay out all the supplies you need. And it's like, yeah, we can do this. It starts to kind of take a form. And then you meet with an attorney, and that gets a little bit harder and out of your comfort zone. And then you're applying for Secretary of State, and the attorney comes back and says, oh, there's not many PAs who have their own business in North Carolina, but you can do it legally. And so then you're starting to get a little murky. And then you have an opportunity to look at businesses and places, and it seems very expensive. And then one comes up that looks like an ideal spot, but it's an old dance studio, and you have to tear it all out and renovate it, and then you have to hire a contractor, and then it becomes the time for money. And then the fleece goes out, and is anybody going to be willing to help you? And so then you start to present that, and then people come in, and parents and my parents and friends and family begin to bring encouragement, and then they start to help you out some financially. And so I think it was just a process of validation and encouragement through acts, and then prayer and faith, and seeing that car continue to gain speed. It wasn't braking. And then I think a lot of things coalesced at one time. And this was a slow process, 2 years from start to beginning to get into that dance studio and start tearing it up. And we had sort of 6 months from when they came in to when it was ours, and we had to start paying rent on it. And that was, so yeah, I don't know that it was one like moment, one day where you were like, yes, but it was a lot of just conversation and just seeing things happen, and slow.
I think he's wanting like a really good story of me having a meltdown or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we love a meltdown story, but no, it was just more. What did you see? Because there's two things going on here. Beth's coming to this place, and she's saying Scott was an encourager of me. But then it's just curious, as you're looking at her trying to work through all that stuff. What did you see? I mean, you go through a change in that, right? That was like it's like being refined.
Yeah.
And
an awakening too. I think it was like, I remember you saying that to me one time during this process. And he was like, I'm just kind of seeing you become alive, because you have all these ideas that are coming out, and it's getting you excited. You're getting excited to think about how we could do medicine differently from the way we've practiced it for 25 years, or how to operate a clinic maybe a little different than what's traditional. And so all of these ideas, I think, just created just this excitement and a stirring within me. Because both of us are visionary, like we're just visionary people, and so I think it just was like an awakening. And I think for him to see that was like, okay, this is a good thing.
Yeah,
But this isn't a suck.
No, that's a great point. I think it was life-giving to you to begin to dream and vision about that. And some of that was just like, okay, this is just how it is. And then there was a new way that this could be done, and it provided life.
Well, that's where you can tell you're really in the place you ought to be when the hard things even are life-giving, and that keeps you going because you see the end. I mean, you're seeing the end, where you want to be. I will say, as a friend of both of yours, I mean, I was specifically, Beth, I would say you went into it. You're right. You guys have both always been visionaries, creating things, creative people, help people to think outside of the box. But you went into a different gear with this. All of a sudden, it was like you got to create this whole thing. There was a different gear in you that I've seen. Just all this like, who can help me with this? Who can help me with this? And it was like this project. And it was so fun. So it gave me, I mean, you said you were blaming me for corvettes, but it just was like, sure, I want to help.
Yeah, right,
there's my contribution or whatever. Or like, is it scraping the floor? Or your dad coming in and working and helping with the many talents that he has. That was a significant, wasn't a new you. Yeah. It was like a different gear you.
Yeah.
And because it's a big deal. And sure, Scott's saying, yeah, we'll sell this and we'll sell this. That's the logical way to work through things, but it's still an emotional thing. I mean, yes, okay, we could simply do that to quote unquote get out of debt. You still got to get your heart involved in it.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, would you say that's right? I mean, you just went into a different type of gear, and it's been fun to watch, frankly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was, yes. There are gears I don't enjoy as much right now that I wish I could change gears, but knowing it's going to be for a season and knowing it, it is what it is. But that's life, right? Everyone is in their businesses, have to do things they don't always want to do. Like parenting, you don't always want to do things, but.
Well, I will say it's another good thing you actually know what you don't want to do. I do think a lot of people start thinking, I love all this, but you got Kat coming in to do the things you don't want to do, and you've got all that.
I actually had the revelation last week that I don't like teaching, which is kind of ironic because I homeschooled my kids, and I was like, oh, that's why that went so poorly.
They might be able to affirm that. Who knows?
They do, yeah. And then yesterday we had a student, and Scott was like, you are so bad at this. And I was like, I am bad at this, and I'm owning this. I don't want to be a teacher. You can have the students. So, yes, I'm learning as I get older.
Well, I had prepped the student to do the procedure, and we, went through the whole process, and I was like, okay, you're going to do this, and this is how you do it. And she was like, we were going through the pitfalls and questions. And so then we walk in to do the procedure, and guess who's already doing the procedure? And I said, what are you doing? I said, we were talking and planning to do this.
To be fair.
She just looked at me, and so there we are.
Yeah.
To be fair, what were you going to say?
To be fair, it was my second job, and I just wanted to go home. Like it was 6 o'clock. What
did I say? I said, "Go ahead and go. I'll take care of the rest of the patient." Anyway,
but that's your wheelhouse, right?
He's so good at it.
Yes, that's right.
He's so good at it.
So anyway, I was like, "Yeah, that's a microcosm of what it's like working with your spouse."
It is, but self-awareness is a good place to start.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah, I do, just to sort of maybe go back and not get too far. I think there is something to share in the trepidation and the encouragement of one another in that process that's unique to us. Like Beth had a fear of money. I didn't really have a fear of money. I had a great fear of practicing dermatology because I'm not a dermatologist. So we had very different fears. And so the fears that she felt, I didn't. And the fears that I felt, she didn't. And so we could encourage and share those fears moving forward. And likewise, I think, to just circle back to our kids, I think even now I'm watching my kids take risks in their own life. We talked about Sydney going to Africa. Kendall, our third, she tore her ACL twice, and I said, don't go back. Be done with sports. And she said, I want to do it. It's in me to do this. And she has come back, and she has done amazing. And so I think there's both. It's a both and instead of a, I've been able to watch my kids do amazing things that have encouraged me to risk because they have overwhelmed me with their courage and just the ways that they have come back from things that I feel like they shouldn't have to face at such a young age. But it's reciprocal.
Well, you know why they can do that.
Tell me.
Well, I mean, they're inspired, or they feel like it's safe, or they feel like it's, they come from a environment where, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can do it. And so that's what I see. And sometimes it's a default position from people saying, no, you can't do anything. And they are so beaten down that this is their escape.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's your girls.
No, I don't.
And so that they just are growing up that's a good example of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they kind of go, no, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Because this is in me.
And I think it could be, and I just reflecting, thinking about this conversation, it's like you were saying, Beth, it's both. It's the both and. It's the tired and frustration. It's the you can do it. It's the encouragement. It's the my gift and his versus his gift. Your kids are growing up knowing that it's not simple. It's not a simple decision, because it would have been totally fine for her not to do this sport, right? And you would have been fine and supported her in that, in fact, encouraged her in that. But it's also good to take that challenge. And so they're growing up learning how to navigate complexity, and that life isn't simple. And back to it's not linear. If you just do this, you're going to get there. There's going to be disappointing things. There's going to be difficult things. And so it's just when we try to live in front of our kids or whoever with like the best face, sort of social media, to put the best face out there, or just fear of avoiding anything. When we pick a side, so to speak, you guys are just, this is life. It's in the middle. And so they're able to think about it more complex and as a more complex thing than just something very simple. Like we always do hard things, because you could grow up like, you're going to do it, you're going to finish it, or don't do anything hard. And I think navigating both is pretty phenomenal. It makes a resilient person. And it's pretty cool. I mean, you guys have, I know your extended families. There's a beauty of your, like you said, both of your fathers, working something for a long time, consistency through hard things. That's just, that's a lesson in there too. It doesn't, the entrepreneurial leap is not the only difficult thing or scary thing. There's also sticking with it when it's been hard and things change, and you're just going to keep doing it. And so that's pretty phenomenal. So what are you guys, as we kind of think about the future for you, what are you most excited about as it goes forward in this practice? What are you dreaming about still? Because it's like you got this thing off the ground now. What's it looking like? What are you thinking about future? Or are you just glad to be
Are
in
you
the
at
present?
the place where you have a full patient load, or are you still?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. But definitely,
You're on a trajectory toward that.
Yeah. So I feel like I have big dreams. My dreams are probably too big. But my mind goes to like opening more clinics down the road. It's kind of like I would build another house. Look at him. He's like, "Are you kidding me?"
No.
It's like and
I'm just listening. Yeah, for real.
so that would be like, down the road. I would love to have to replicate this in different towns of need. There's plenty of need. We have people come from North Wilkesboro, or we have a ton of patients come from King or Iredell County. They're traveling from Elkin, and I just think, oh gosh, why? There's the access is just so limited. Why could we not replicate this in other areas? So, that's like maybe a, 5 to 10 year plan. But I guess like my dream would be for us to both be working full time there together. That would be my dream. Yeah.
Don't apologize for those big dreams. I think that's
Yeah.
just phenomenal again. you know, and I know it's stair step, but again, it's a little, you just went through some really hard things. You're like,
Yeah.
let's replicate this.
It's like having a baby, right?
Yeah, you got that
Maybe that's why I had
amnesia, the amnesia of the pain that you went through, and now you're there. What about you, Scott? I mean, what's your thoughts as you watch this and the dreamer wife of yours? And
Yeah, I think getting up to a full patient panel and then trying to maybe fully equip our staff, and then maybe looking at some satellite options in the surrounding community, and then potentially we could outgrow our current space and move to a bigger space, has more exam rooms, and then sky's the limit from there. I'd love to have my kids become medically trained and work with us. That would be my long-term vision. We'll see what is in store with their medical training. So, yeah. But I do like the idea of staying in Clemens for sure, and whether we expand outward. I saw a place that I like today, but I was thinking about that. I was driving by. But yeah, so I think it, begins to become a part of you. Begin to think about it. And that surprises me. Yeah. Didn't know I would be in that place a few years ago. I'm leaning toward working there full time. I'm hesitant to say it on something that could go out to the masses for my current employer, but maybe. I mean, my current employer knows that. But anyway.
hold it loosely, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's very interesting to see the power of seeing something in your mind, and then watching it happen, and the power of thinking that can happen again, or something else can happen too. I just think that's a very powerful thing in people's lives.
Yeah. I remember having multiple conversations with Josh's wife, Christy, and, I would tell her my concerns. She's like, what are you afraid of? And I was just like, no one's going to come. Like, who would come? And she's like, are you kidding me? That's like the least of my worries. She's like, you're going to have people come. And I was like, I just don't know. They're not going to come see us. And she actually stopped by the office today, and she looked at me and she said, it's happening. Because I was so busy. I had like 15 patients in 3 hours and, scrambling. And I didn't even get a chance to talk to her, but she grabbed me and she said, it's happening. It's happening. And I was like, too busy to think about it in the moment. But as you were speaking, it was happening. So
I know I was sitting there trying to help her, and there had been so many days that we sat there all day and see like 2 or 3 patients, and then now she's seeing 15 and she wants to see them all.
that's how I roll, man.
Yep.
Let's work. Work.
Let's get her done.
I ain't teaching nobody. I'm just going to
Get her
social
done.
Exactly, Josh.
I'm not going to teach anybody. Let's get it done. We got people to see. We got more practices to open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, except that when one comes in who needs a hug and like some counseling and they need to hear about
some hope.
They need to hear hope, and they need to hear how the stuff going on the outside is not as important than the stuff going on the inside.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you slow down, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah. Yes,
that's
for
beautiful.
sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's sacred space.
Yeah.
That's sacred space. So it's a privilege.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you guys, it's super fun to have you tell a little bit of your story. Thanks for being willing, vulnerable to come on here and talk with us. But I just so encouraged by what you guys have been doing, and I'm encouraged how it affects the people around us. But then I just wanted to make sure other people could have access to what's going on, and it's not. I remember when I said you want to come on, and it's like, well, what am I going to say? And it's like, well, we're not looking to talk about what makes you a successful person.
Yeah, don't
because
ask me a business plan.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question. No, I don't think these are real people that have real lives, and it is not a mathematical equation or a thing that we did. This is part of our problem, isn't it? That we try to like, well, what did they do that'll be successful? It's like you have a unique mission that you want to do, and it's a beautiful thing. And there may be some other people that just needed to hear a little story that will send them down whatever path that they're on, and that's the whole point of having these conversations, right, Hunter? I mean, that's what we want to talk. We just want to talk about people to people about those things. So thanks for being here. I think that's probably all we got. So you want to give it a wrap?
Yeah.
As far as you know.
We appreciate it, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a
Great.
lot.
Yeah.
Take care.